All right, so hello everybody. So for the first question, it's about an article about the study of the feasibility of studying animal-assisted activities in inpatient pediatric oncology, and we collected preliminary data on the benefits of the having animal-assisted activities in this population. So the population they studied in this article were about the sample size was about 19. So they kind of study about 9 females and 9 males to see if the animal assisted activity helped them to recover quickly. That's number one question.
Yeah, so number 2 is asking to explain the sampling method that was used. So we went with judgment sampling. It seems like the study went with all the kids who met the criteria. Basically, they had to get approval from the attending physicians and from the parents, and then they had to be referenced to their allergy histories as well, and to see if they were even allowed to be in contact with the animals in general. So basically, whoever made the cut relative to that criteria was included in the sample. So judgment sampling would be the answer for number 2.
Okay, so for number 3, they're basically asking about whether or not the article described how the distribution of data was. And if you go to page 4, basically they did describe like the data and what they like achieved. So they went into things like means, interquartile ranges, standard deviations. And in terms of like the tests they used, they did a paired t-test. They also did a post hoc analysis. In terms of like how the data actually was distributed, though, I do believe they said that there was like a left skew. But yeah, someone could check.
Regarding question number 4, it was comparing table 1 and table 2 in this article. Table 1 was very patient specific. So it had demographics and characteristics of the patient. So sex was included, the age group, the cancer type, and the allergy history of each individual patient. Whereas table 2 went into the interaction between the patients and the therapy dogs during the study. And then it concluded how well the patient did behavior-wise afterwards.
So question number 5, so we were mainly looking at figure 2 and if it was appropriate representation. So figure 2 is just a bar graph which showed subjective values with an overall positive outlook on the effects of the therapy dogs on the patient. And then this was kind of a direct observation made by the research assistant who was just using a form specifically created for the study. The sample size remains too small to determine significance of figure 2, but the figure represents qualitative data, specifically nominal data.
So we're on to the next article, article 2. The first question is, what's the sample size of the study? The sample size is 2,960. The second question is, explain the sampling method used in the study. I think the sampling method is stratified sampling. In this kind of sampling, the researchers divide subjects into subgroups called strata, and the subgroups are based on the characteristics the subjects share.
So the third question is talking about the information given in the article, that we should try to talk about the data, how is data being distributed. And we said yes, the result is paragraph 1 and table 2 basically showed sample size to be 7.1% female and 32.9% male, and 26.5% at a BMI outside the normal range. 10% were underweight and 16.5% were overweight or obese. Based on overall physical activity, 77.6% achieved recommended physical activity levels, but this figure fell to the 44.4% when only leisure time physical activity was taken into account. I believe they did that just to avoid any confounding variables. That's why they have to take out some of the data there to make sure it's just from leisure time. That's why it fell to 44.4%. And that's question 2.
So the next question is basically about the tables that were in the article, so table 2 and 3. So table 2 basically was just a visual representation of like the sample distribution, and they did that based on characteristics such as sex. They also looked at BMI. They also stratified it by like employment and academic discipline. Whereas like table 3, if you look at it, it just shows the percentile distributions of the physical activity, and they separated that by domain and sex. I think that's the last question.
Yeah,
So
That concludes the assignment. I
That
believe.
Yes.